Hello, hello. This is This, and I'm back with another video. And if you look up the word "completely screwed" right now on Wikipedia, you'd probably see Robert Murdoch's picture. It has nothing to do with what I was talking about, but I couldn't help it, and it was just too funny. But anyways, I was gonna make this with the last video that you guys saw, and I didn't do it for two reasons. One, I was running out of time, and two, I didn't want to talk about them really. And I have a pretty good reason, especially the second one. But, anyways, the first thing I wanted to talk about was the whole complete failure of Final Cut Pro 10 and how it has completely been a clusterfuck. I'm not going to really spend much time on this, but I'm going to say this. If you went onto the Apple Store and saw half of the reviews there, it's not good. In fact, those are Apple customers and even a whole lot of Apple fanboys who pretty much snubbed their nose at the product and basically told a lot of other Apple fanboys to, well, not to buy it. Basically, the Apple fanboys are at war with each other over it, and it's not a good product. And Apple has already removed it from their front page, and they did it pretty expediently fast. So, in short terms, Final Cut Pro 10 on the App Store, even though it's a good price at $10, was a complete clusterfuck. But Motion was an absolute success. Everybody loved the Motion that came out for $50, and I have to agree that was actually a pretty good idea. And it's pretty much Apple Shake, if you don't know. And now on to the bit of news that I didn't want to, and I really wanted to avoid for... Okay, I didn't have any good reasons why I didn't want to avoid this last bit of news. I just didn't want to do it because it was pretty much a shock to me. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go into the search engine and type DC ReBoot. If you know what I'm talking about, it's the it just came into the wire that DC Comics is planning a complete reboot of not just a universe, which they've done in the past, but their complete numbering system. And this is the first time they've ever had to do a complete reordering of their number system, and it was met pretty badly. And it's real bad. I mean, we're talking that this shit will probably wind up on CNN News bad. And I'm talking about the backlash, not the actual news of DC's reboot. I mean, the backlash that DC Comics is getting for this is really, really bad. And yes, I'm talking about comics. It's a mess. My only best guess is the person behind the whole reboot is most likely Dan Didio. And if you remember, Dan Didio used to be the exclusive editor of the DC Universe and then was booted upstairs as co-publisher with Jim Lee. They both were named the co-publisher, the two men. And the reason why I suspect that it's Didio is that because not only are they doing a number one, rebooting all their issues back to number one, every one of them, but they're doing it in a 52 like style. And Dan Didio, and I'm not going to post the link to this, basically said that he needs them all to sell. It's not going over too well. I mean, if you look at the first video on the DC reboot search on YouTube, you will literally see the whole, that whole Hitler going crazy video that became popular on YouTube, where they basically changed the translations at the bottom of what Hitler's really saying, and the rest of the other people. And yeah, basically the fans, people are pretty upset, and it's causing a pretty massive uproar, and I mean massive. I don't know what to say. I mean, Bob Harris was named the new editor-in-chief. Sales were doing good. In fact, sales over at DC have actually doubled over Marvel. And the main reason is that all the or at least a good 80%, a good round number of 80 to 90% of the Marvel writers and artists actually defected from Marvel Comics over to DC. And the main reason why they did that was, well, there was a kind of a little problem when Disney was buying out Marvel Comics. A couple of writers, a lot of them, a shitload of them, kind of didn't really want that to happen. And Joe Quesada was sent out to fix the whole problem, and instead, Joe was promoted to chief creative officer. Basically, instead of actually fixing the problem, he was offered a promotion and he kind of took it. And his past friends and pretty much some of the guys that were with him for a long time kind of yelled, screamed, and they all walked out and then are now all working for DC Comics. It's a clusterfuck. And you got Dan Didio, who's now co-publisher of DC. And if you remember how I keep saying Amazon's Attack and Countdown, where it's probably the most worst comics ever printed, which they are. I mean, Countdown was born because of 52, and 52 was a massive hit, and it was a great comic, and I recommend it for anybody. But then Didio wanted to do 52 right. Apparently, he wanted to fix 52, and instead he fixed things he shouldn't have. You know the old saying, don't fix what's not broke. And he did it anyways and created Countdown, which was a blundering fuck up. And of course, Countdown ended up spawning that god awful abomination called Amazon's Attack. Oh dear God, damn, that was bad. But thank God Jeff Jones came in with Sinestro Corp Wars, and yeah, that was a better comic. And not only that, Jeff Jones increased sales with the whole Blackest Night, and with DC getting a large group of ex-Marvel writers and artists, and their sales are now increasing, and Marvel is now dropping like a rock in sales, and I'm not joking. Right now, you'd see the overall sales going to Marvel, but that's in the long period run. In this period of right now and far into the future, it pretty much is all going into DC Comics futures. Didio apparently wants to do a 52-ish complete reboot for no fucking reason whatsoever. It doesn't make a fucking lick of sense. When you're at the top, you stay at the top and you keep going with the formula you have. You just don't decide to reboot the whole thing like it's a fucking failure. But yeah, the fan backlash is pretty fucking bad, and it's caused a massive, massive fucking uproar in a lot of people. And yeah, even I've heard some writers and artists that are thinking about leaving DC now. Thanks, Didio. Fucking moron. And should have been fired. Seriously fired. Well, that's it. I finally talked about what I wanted to talk, or at least I didn't want to talk about for a while. So, yeah. Apple fucked up on their Final Cut Pro 10, and I don't know what the fuck DC's doing. I mean, on the verge of success, they decide, hey, let's fuck it all up. That's a good idea. Great sell tactic. Talk to you later.